welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time I haven't uploaded. Like I said, I wanted to do my labor and delivery story, but I wanted to also settle in now that I have a newborn with me, and I wanted to go ahead and spend some time with her and give her all my attention because I am a single mom and the only help I do have is my older sister. So I only have some time a little bit, to film for you guys. That's why it kind of took for a long time, and also because I wanted to spend some time with her, like I said. So yeah, each time, she falls asleep, that gives me time for me to wash her bottles and do stuff, clean up a little bit her crib and everything. So that's what I have to do when she's asleep and my sister's taking care of her. I'm looking out for her, and when she's awake, obviously I'm with her because I am her mom. So finally I had found some time to make this video for you guys, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, I do have social media. It is in the beginning of my video, and it's also down in the description box. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow me and see more of me and Valerie, go ahead and follow me. And yeah guys, so let's just go ahead and get started. Oh, and also, if those of you guys are new here to my channel, hi, welcome. I am Panda, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video and subscribe to see more of my future videos. And for those who has been following me, thank you so much for being patient with me, and welcome back, I guess. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started this time for real. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this video as fast as I can because my baby is sleeping right now, but she's with her grandma and her aunt. So even if she cries, they're gonna take care of her for me because I really want to make this video for you guys. Okay, so the first time I went to the hospital was May 27, and that day was because I started to get contractions at 6 a.m. in the morning, and they were like so frequent, like 5 minutes apart, and they lasted up to 40 to 60 seconds. And also because I was bleeding, and that kind of got me scared because, like I said, I never thought of me having a bloody show. I never even thought about it at all. I just thought that I would have contractions and my water will break. I never thought that I was going to bleed because I don't know why, but I ended up calling my hospital and they told me to go in. So that's what I did on May 27. I went in because I was having a bloody show and my contractions were 5 minutes apart, 40 to 60 seconds. And the thing is, when they checked me, they want to check if I have any infections, because what if the blood was not a bloody show? They just wanted to make sure. So it ended up not being that way. It was just a bloody show, and I wasn't really dilating, but I was having contractions. So they decided for me to go home. So then I went home, and then the next day I was still having contractions, but not to the point where I couldn't handle it no more. So I was fine on the 28th until the 29th came in, and I was getting more and more like painful contractions, but not to the point to cry, like I said, but it was more painful than the day before. So but that day I started to bleed even more, and I called the hospital because I thought I wasn't gonna bleed that much, like I did the day before. And so I called the hospital and I let them know that I was bleeding a lot more than what I was bleeding the day I went in. So they decided for me to come in again just to make sure everything was fine. So I went in again, and I was already 2 centimeters dilated, and my blood pressure was high. So they decided to keep me in because my blood pressure was high, and they wanted to see if I was not gonna dilate anymore, or if they want to keep me because of my blood pressure. So I stayed there till 11 p.m. and the only progress I made during that day, during my stay there on the 29th, was just 1 centimeter more. I dilated up to 3 centimeters, and my blood pressure went back to normal. So they again sent me home. So I went home I got home around 11:30 because the hospital is 30 minutes away, and I was discharged at 11. So I went home. I was doing fine until I was trying to go to bed, and around 1 a.m. I kind of woke up because of the pain that I was having, and it was like really, really painful. Like I was like, what the heck, to the point where I was starting to sweat because it was just so bad. And I know that my doctor, they told me that if I start to get contractions that were really painful, to try to take a bath to like ease the pain a little bit. So that's what I did. I did what he said. I hopped into the bath and took a really nice warm water, like warm bath, I mean. And that did help for like probably like 5 minutes, and my pain was starting to get even worse and worse. So I got out of the bath and put my clothes back on, try to get back to sleep, to try to sleep it off. And again, I couldn't sleep at all. It was just so painful to the point where I was like tearing up, and I was like trying like not to curse, but I was cursing because I just couldn't take it anymore, until I told my mom, and my mom came. She woke up, and then my sister woke up, and my dad woke up, because I was in so much pain. I was like literally screaming, and I couldn't take it anymore. So my mom told me to call the hospital, but I didn't want it to. I didn't call, because I didn't want them to again be like, what the heck is wrong with this girl? Like, she just came, she just came home, so what the heck? And I didn't want them to send me home again. So I was like, no, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna try to like see if the pain goes away or something. I don't know. So I kept walking and walking around the living room to try to like not hurt as much for like that, for me to handle it. But I couldn't. I was crying and crying, and my dad was like, you know what, just call the hospital. So that's what I did. I listened to what they told me to do. I called, and they told me to come in right away, because it could be that I am ready or something like that. So my dad took me, and on my way to the hospital, the road was really bumpy. The street that we were on, it was really bumpy, and each time my dad kept going to a bump, I kept cursing, and I was just in so much pain, until I finally got there. I went upstairs to the labor and delivery, and during when you go in, you have to fill up so many papers. They check how much you weigh, your blood pressure, etc. And oh my gosh, I couldn't even do it, because I was just crying, I was screaming, and because I was in so much pain. They even saw that, and I was just like, they're trying to sign my name and all those stuff, and I'm just like, I'm so done. So they checked my blood pressure, and again, it was high. And they took me to the examination room before they take me to the delivery room. So they take you to the examination room to make sure if you are gonna be staying or whatever. So when they took me there, I was screaming. I was like, I can't do it no more, this and that. I was like saying so many things, because I was just in so much pain. I was cursing, not at the nurses, not at the doctors. I was cursing in pain, and I kind of felt bad, because I'm not that type of person to be like that. And the nurse was like, okay, try to take deep breaths. And I'm like, how do you want me to take deep breaths? I can't. I'm in pain. And they put me in medications. They decided to keep me because my blood pressure was high again, and I do have a history of, in my pregnancy, of me having high blood pressure. So they just decided to keep me, and to get induced. So they gave me medication before the epidural. So they gave me that medication, and that medication ease the pain a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. I could still feel it, and I was still like, oh, like in so much pain. But it did kind of help a lot, and it also got me so tired, and I don't really remember what's going on. I just know that it looked like if I was high, or if I was, drunk or something. So my sister wasn't there yet, because they wanted her to come in when I'm close to deliver. So they took me to the delivery room, and I was just there because they did put my name for me to get the epidural. So I was in the list already. So so the person that does the epidural was going to other people first before me. And I was just there in pain. I was like trying so hard not to cry, and I just kept thinking of my daughter, like, I got this, just to calm me down a little bit, until it was just getting bad, worse and worse and worse. And then finally the guy who does the epidural came in, and it was just so hard to stay still, because I was having contractions, and I kept, each time I was having contractions, I kept like moving to because I was in pain. But I just kept thinking about my daughter, like I was just thinking in my head, like, do I want my daughter to be here safe? I need to stay still, and I need to do this, for her. So I tried to calm down, and I did it. I got the epidural, everything was fine. So then, like, I got the epidural, they put me in Pitocin, and they started to, get my labor to induce me. So they put me on Pitocin, and when they did that, the baby heart rate went down, and they took it out for a couple of minutes just because they wanted my baby to be okay. And then that's when my sister came in. So I was there at 3 a.m. I got in the hospital at 3 a.m. and it was already 9 a.m. and my sister finally came in, and they put me on Pitocin again. And it was just horrible because my epidural started to wear off. I kept clicking on the thing, clicking and clicking and clicking so many times because it was just not working anymore. Like, I could feel every contraction on my right side, because on my left side, sorry, my baby's crying. Let me go check on her really quick. Okay, so you might hear her cry, but she's with her grandma and her aunt, so she's fine. I'm gonna try to finish this as fast as I can. So anyways, so I could feel it on my right side, but on my left side I was really, really numbed. So I was in Pitocin and they checked me again. I was 5 centimeters dilated. They broke my water, and as soon as they broke my water, I started to feel even more pain, obviously, because they just broke your water, so that makes it even dilate even more because your head is going more down. So after that, I kept feeling every pain, but I could kind of a little bit handle it until the point where I felt like pushing. And when I felt like pushing, I told myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel like I need to push. And when the doctor came in, I told her I need to push, and she's like, oh no, that's normal. You might feel like pushing, but you're not ready to give birth yet. They just checked that you were 5 centimeters dilated. But I was like, okay, whatever. She left again, and I was telling my sister, like, oh my gosh, like, this is really hurt. It's hurting a lot. So she told me to keep pressing on the button, and I kept pressing it, and it wouldn't work. It was just working on my freaking left side. On my right side, I felt everything. So I was like, you know what, this is not working. And then to the point where me wanting to push, my body just started to do it on its own, and I couldn't do nothing about it. And I started to panic. I started to scream and cry. My sister panicked. She got up and panicked, like, oh my gosh, like, and I was yelling at my sister, telling her to call the nurse, and I couldn't find a little controller thing to click to call the nurse. And she was just panicking. I was panicking, and the nurse came in. She's like, but we just checked that you were 5 centimeters dilated. I don't think you're ready to give birth, but I'm gonna go ahead and call someone to check you again. And I was like, what the heck, I feel like pushing. So she called the doctor, the one who delivers babies, and when the doctor stepped in, that's when I felt another contraction of me wanting to push, and I started to push. And when the doctor looked down there, she was like, oh no, we're having a baby. And she called her team to set up, and the nurse that kept saying, like, oh, I don't think you need to push because we just checked you, she was shocked. She was like, oh my gosh, what? And she was just like, oh my gosh, you dilated so fast, like, we just broke your water, and etc. So they got everything ready. My sister couldn't record because she was helping me, as you guys saw on the video. So she was helping me with my leg, and before I couldn't push anymore, she told me to try to not push because they were gonna put medication in. I think it was because of my blood pressure. So they did that, and oh my gosh, I was holding it. It was just so bad trying to hold it. Oh my gosh, it was like I felt like I was going to die. And then until I finally could push again, I started to push and push and push. In less than 10 minutes, I had Valerie. And when I saw her, I started to cry. Like, I was just so proud of myself. My sister also started to cry. But when I looked at her, I was crying. And I was just proud of myself, saying, because I did this by myself. And obviously the help of my family. But, Valerie doesn't have a dad, she does obviously, but he was never there for her. I was there for her. I was the one that made her, basically, by the help of him. But you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? I did this by myself, I was proud of myself. I was just crying and thinking about so many things. So anyways, I saw her, and she was just so beautiful. She opened her eyes so wide. She was just looking around. She was obviously crying for a few minutes, but then she stopped, and she was just looking around, and she was just so cute. So anyways, after I had her, I gave it to my sister because they were gonna put me in medication for I won't end up having a seizure, like I did have preeclampsia. So they put me on magnesium. I had to be on magnesium for 24 hours, so I couldn't really do much. So my sister was basically taking care of Valerie. Meanwhile, I was on that, also because I was drowsy and I couldn't really hold her. Like I kept like feeling like I want to fall asleep, and I didn't want to drop her, obviously. So my sister was taking care of her. Like I said, I had to be in magnesium for 24 hours. They kept checking on my baby. She was doing fine. She was just a very small baby. She was 5 pounds and 18 inches. So they were checking on her, to see if she was doing okay. She was, thank God. They did her hearing test and her eyesight test. They all came out good, but it was just me that, I was a little bit affected. So I had to stay for 24 hours. So 24 hours passed, and I couldn't go to the postpartum room yet because, like I said, I was magnesium. So I stayed in the delivery room for 24 more hours. And when 24 hours passed, the nurse took out the catheter, etc. And she told me, if I want to go to the bathroom, to let her know. So yeah, I called her right away because I just wanted to stand up already because I was just tired of being in bed. So she took me to the bathroom. When I got up, I felt like I was gonna fall, but I hold my balance, and I went to the bathroom and everything was fine. I went up to my baby and she was just there, beautiful on her little bed, on her little cart. Oh yeah, and also I did had a secondary tear, so they had to stitch me up. So down there was so painful. And yeah, so 24 hours passed. They took my baby a bath in the delivery room. They took her a little bath, and it was just so cute. And after her bath, they got us to the postpartum room. So in the hallway going to the postpartum room, it was so beautiful. Once you enter the little area, it was just so beautiful, and there were just like a lot of like plants. It was just so nice. And when we got to the room, I felt much better because it looked more like home. And it was so cozy in there. It was warm, and we stayed there. And I had to stay in the hospital for 3 days just because they wanted to keep an eye on me, on my blood pressure. So I stayed there for 3 more days. And in that first night of my postpartum, in the postpartum room, Valerie went and took her car seat test. I did not know they did that, but they took her for 3 hours to take her car seat test to see if the car seat was perfect for her. Like, she was a very small baby, or I don't know if they do that for every baby, but they did that for my baby. So I got the time to take a nap, to go to sleep for those 3 hours. So I took advantage of that until I had my first nightmare in the hospital, to the point where my heart was racing and I woke up from it, and I was just panicking and I was sweating because of that nightmare. Was horrible. I was dreaming that the nurse didn't want to give me back my baby, and that made me have kind of like a little heart attack there, So I woke up and I told my sister the dream that I had, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, don't worry, just relax and go to sleep." But I couldn't go to sleep until my baby came back to the room. Like, I was just so worried. Like, once I saw her, I started to have so much like worriness, and more like it's my first baby, and I just started to worry a lot, like I'm a first time mom, and I don't know. So that was my first nightmare. I was assuming I didn't want to give me my baby back. So anyways, that was my first nightmare. And then for those 2 other days, it was already Tuesday. I called my dad because they were gonna discharge us. So I called him to pick us up at 4 p.m. So that was our plan. We got everything ready. We got baby Valerie all dressed up and cute, ready to go home, until the nurse had to come in before I left. They had to check my blood pressure again and my temperature. So when they did that, I ended up having a fever, and also my blood pressure was high. So they wanted me to stay for another night. So I had to call my dad again and let him know, you know what, Dad, I have a fever and I have a high blood pressure again. So they wanted to see if my fever was gonna go away and stuff. And yeah, so it did went away. And the reason why I had a fever was because my boobs were engorged. So I had to pump the milk out and I felt better. My fever went away, but my blood pressure was kind of lowering down, but they decided to put me in medications and to prescribe me some. So they ended up doing that, and the next day I felt better, and again we started to pack our things again and got baby Valerie ready. And my dad finally got to pick us up, so we went straight home with baby Valerie. And yeah, so we just went home, and she met my dad and my mom, which is her grandparents, and it was just a very crazy delivery story. I hope I did include everything on there because it was just crazy. Like, I don't know, there was just so much. But if you guys have any questions about my delivery, go feel free to ask it, because I do want to do a Q&A video. So if you guys have any questions about what, like, anything that I missed out or anything that you guys would like to know about my delivery, go ahead and comment down in the comments. Sorry if I'm all over the place. I tried to explain it the best I could, but it was just a very crazy delivery. It was so different than what I've seen in people's vlogs and stuff like that. I mean, every delivery is different, so yeah, trust that. Every delivery is so different. Don't think yours is gonna be the same as this YouTuber that you saw, because I did not expect my delivery to be like this at all. It was just full of, like, it was just full of worriness. It was just crazy. So yeah, guys, it was a very crazy thing. I stayed in the hospital for like around 6 days. I say 6 days because I was there since the 29th. I went home for a couple of hours. It went back to the hospital and stayed there for 5 more days. And I was just so done with me being in the hospital. I was done. I wanted to go home with my baby, and I wasn't having a good experience. I mean, the nurses were so nice, but the thing is, I just couldn't be in the hospital no more. I felt sad, you know, like I felt like, am I gonna be okay? You know, like I was just worried all the time, like if my baby was gonna be okay. But thanks to God, everything came out good, you know. I ended up coming home safe with my baby, and we're all good now. Let me go ahead and bring her really quick for I could show you guys my little baby girl. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is baby Valerie. She's sleeping right now. I went to get her because she was crying. But yeah, she's asleep now. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for being patient with me. For those of you guys who've been subscribed to my channel, and for those of you guys who are new, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my other videos, which I did do a delivery video, so go ahead and check it out. But if you guys have and are in this video now, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you guys subscribe to see more of my videos with baby Valerie here. Don't forget to follow me in social media to see more of her and stuff like that. And I am planning to vlog and do morning routines and night routines, so stay tuned for that, now that I am ready to come back on YouTube and ready to film again like I used to. So because like I said, I was dragging on filming this delivery story video because, you know, I was trying to settle in with my baby girl, but now I'm ready to come back and film more videos for you guys. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in my next video. Bye.